英語聞き流しリスニング、英語テキストと MP3 ダウンロード、その他の物語はホームページからお聞きいただけます。88thpp.com 88thpp.com
10th April. Dear Mr. Richman, here's your check for $50. Thank you very much, but I do not feel that I can keep it. My allowance is sufficient to afford all of the hats that I need. I'm sorry that I wrote all that silly stuff about the millinery shop, it's just that I had never seen anything like it before. However, I wasn't begging. And I would rather not accept any more charity than I have to. Sincerely yours, Jerusha Abbott. 11th April. Dearest Daddy, will you please forgive me for the letter I wrote you yesterday? After I posted it, I was sorry and tried to get it back, but that beastly mail clerk wouldn't give it back to me. It's the middle of the night now. I've been awake for hours thinking what a worm I am, what a thousand-legged worm, and that's the worst I can say. I've closed the door very softly into the study so as not to wake Julia and Sally, and am sitting up in bed writing to you on paper torn out of my history notebook. I just wanted to tell you that I am sorry I was so impolite about your check. I know you meant it kindly, and I think you're an old dear to take so much trouble for such a silly thing as a hat. I ought to have returned it very much more graciously. But in any case, I had to return it. It's different with me than with other girls. They can take things naturally from people. They have fathers and brothers and aunts and uncles, but I can't be on any such relations with anyone. I like to pretend that you belong to me, just to play with the idea, but of course I know you don't. I'm alone, really, with my back to the wall fighting the world, and I get sort of gaspy when I think about it. I put it out of my mind, and keep on pretending, but don't you see, Daddy? I can't accept any more money than I have to, because someday I shall be wanting to pay it back, and even as great an author as I intend to be won't be able to face a perfectly tremendous debt. I'd love pretty hats and things, but I mustn't mortgage the future to pay for them. You'll forgive me, won't you, for being so rude? I have an awful habit of writing impulsively when I first think things, and then posting the letter beyond recall. But if I sometimes seem thoughtless and ungrateful, I never mean it. In my heart I thank you always for the life and freedom and independence that you have given me. My childhood was just a long, sullen stretch of revolt, and now I am so happy every moment of the day that I can't believe it's true. I feel like a made-up heroine in a storybook. It's 2:15. I'm going to tiptoe out to post this off now. You'll receive it in the next mail after the other, so you won't have a very long time to think bad of me. Good night, Daddy. I love you always. Judy. 4th May. Dear Daddy Longlegs. Field day last Saturday. It was a very spectacular occasion. First we had a parade of all the classes, with everybody dressed in white linen, the seniors carrying blue and gold Japanese umbrellas, and the juniors white and yellow banners. Our class had crimson balloons, very fetching, especially as they were always getting loose and floating off, and the freshmen wore green tissue paper hats with long streamers. Also we had a band in blue uniforms hired from town. Also about a dozen funny people, like clowns in a circus, to keep the spectators entertained between events. Julia was dressed as a fat countryman with a linen duster and whiskers and baggy umbrella. Patsy Moriarty, Patrici really. Did you ever hear such a name? Mrs. Lippett couldn't have done better, who was tall and thin was Julia's wife in an absurd green bonnet over one ear. Waves of laughter followed them the whole length of the course. Julia played the part extremely well. I never dreamed that a Pendleton could display so much comedy spirit, begging Master Jervy's pardon. I don't consider him a true Pendleton though, any more than I consider you a true trustee. Sally and I weren't in the parade because we were entered for the events. And what do you think? We both won. At least in something. We tried for the running broad jump and lost, but Sally won the pole vaulting, 7 feet 3 inches, and I won the 50-yard sprint, 8 seconds. I was pretty panting at the end, but it was great fun, with the whole class waving balloons and cheering and yelling. What's the matter with Judy Abbott? She's all right. Who's all right? Judy Abbott. That, Daddy, is true fame. Then trotting back to the dressing tent and being rubbed down with alcohol and having a lemon to suck. You see, we're very professional. It's a fine thing to win an event for your class, Because the class that wins the most gets the athletic cup for the year. The seniors won it this year, with 7 events to their credit. The Athletic Association gave a dinner in the gymnasium to all of the winners. We had fried soft-shell crabs, and chocolate ice cream molded in the shape of basketballs. I sat up half of last night reading Jane Eyre. Are you old enough, Daddy, to remember 60 years ago? And, if so, did people talk that way? The haughty Lady Blanche says to the footman, "Stop your chattering, knave, and do my bidding." Mr. Rochester talks about the metal welkin when he means the sky, and as for the mad woman who laughs like a hyena and sets fire to bed curtains and tears up wedding veils and bites, it's melodrama of the purest, but just the same, you read and read and read. I can't see how any girl could have written such a book, especially any girl who was brought up in a churchyard. There's something about those Brontes that fascinates me. Their books, their lives, their spirit. Where did they get it? When I was reading about little Jane's troubles in the charity school, I got so angry that I had to go out and take a walk. I understood exactly how she felt. Having known Mrs. Lippett, I could see Mr. Brocklehurst. Don't be outraged, Daddy. I am not intimating that the John Grier home was like the Lowood Institute. We had plenty to eat and plenty to wear, sufficient water to wash in, and a furnace in the cellar. But there was one deadly likeness. Our lives were absolutely monotonous and uneventful. Nothing nice ever happened, except ice cream on Sundays, and even that was regular. In all the 18 years I was there, I only had one adventure, when the woodshed burned. We had to get up in the night and dress so as to be ready in case the house should catch. But it didn't catch and we went back to bed. Everybody likes a few surprises, it's a perfectly natural human craving. But I never had one until Mrs. Lippett called me to the office to tell me that Mr. John Smith was going to send me to college. And then she broke the news so gradually that it just barely shocked me. You know, Daddy, I think that the most necessary quality for any person to have is imagination. It makes people able to put themselves in other people's places. It makes them kind and sympathetic and understanding. It ought to be cultivated in children. But the John Grier home instantly stamped out the slightest flicker that appeared. Duty was the one quality that was encouraged. I don't think children ought to know the meaning of the word, it's odious, detestable. They ought to do everything from love. Wait until you see the orphan asylum that I am going to be the head of. It's my favorite play at night before I go to sleep. I plan it out to the littlest detail, the meals and clothes and study and amusements and punishments, for even my superior orphans are sometimes bad. But anyway, they are going to be happy. I think that everyone, no matter how many troubles he may have when he grows up, ought to have a happy childhood to look back upon. And if I ever have any children of my own, no matter how unhappy I may be, I am not going to let them have any cares until they grow up. There goes the chapel bell. I'll finish this letter sometime. Thursday. When I came in from laboratory this afternoon, I found a squirrel sitting on the tea table helping himself to almonds. These are the kind of callers we entertain now that warm weather has come and the windows stay open. Saturday morning. Perhaps you think, last night being Friday, with no classes today, that I passed a nice quiet, readable evening with the set of Stevenson that I bought with my prize money? But if so, you've never attended a girls' college, Daddy dear. 6 friends dropped in to make fudge, and one of them dropped the fudge, while it was still liquid, right in the middle of our best rug. We shall never be able to clean up the mess. I haven't mentioned any lessons of late, but we are still having them every day. It's sort of a relief, though, to get away from them and discuss life in the large, rather one-sided discussions that you and I hold, but that's your own fault. You are welcome to answer back any time you choose. I've been writing this letter off and on for 3 days, and I fear by now vous êtes espion bored. Goodbye, nice Mr. Man. Judy. Mr. Daddy Longlegs Smith. Sir, having completed the study of argumentation and the science of dividing a thesis into heads, I have decided to adopt the following form for letter writing. It contains all necessary facts, but no unnecessary verbiage. We had written examinations this week in A. Chemistry. B. History. 2. A new dormitory is being built. A. Its material is A. Red brick. B. Gray stone. B. Its capacity will be A. 1 dean, 5 instructors. B. 200 girls. C. 1 housekeeper, 3 cooks, 20 waitresses, 20 chambermaids. 3. We a junket for dessert tonight. 4. I am writing a special topic upon the sources of Shakespeare's plays. V. Lou McMahon slipped and fell this afternoon at basketball, and she A. dislocated her shoulder. B. bruised her knee. I have a new hat trimmed with A. blue velvet ribbon. B. 2 blue quills. C. 3 red pom-poms. 7. It is 9:30. 8. Good night, Judy. 2nd June. Dear Daddy Longlegs, you will never guess the nice thing that has happened. The McBrides have asked me to spend the summer at their camp in the Adirondacks. They belong to a sort of club on a lovely little lake in the middle of the woods. The different members have houses made of logs dotted about among the trees, and they go canoeing on the lake, and take long walks through trails to other camps, and have dances once a week in the clubhouse. Jimmy McBride is going to have a college friend visiting him part of the summer, so you see we shall have plenty of men to dance with. Wasn't it sweet of Mrs. McBride to ask me? It appears that she liked me when I was there for Christmas. Please excuse this being short. It isn't a real letter, it's just to let you know that I'm disposed of for the summer. Yours. In a very contented frame of mind. Judy.
英語聞き流しリスニング、英語テキストと MP3 ダウンロード、その他の物語はホームページからお聞きいただけます。88thpp.com 88thpp.com